right, Coach. Well, how did another week with no game go for you guys?
It's frustrating. Obviously, we had a good week of preparation. Feel like testing's been going well and back kind of trending our way. So, we've had a good couple weeks there, getting some guys back, and obviously very disappointed we couldn't have the opportunity this past weekend. But again, going to control what we can. Kids came back and bounced back Sunday, had a lot of energy, and really had a good day today. So the energy's been there. I think the excitement's there. Just got to have a good week. Obviously, a preparation, but also with the protocols and testing, and make sure that we're ready to roll this weekend.
So you feel good about your guys' opportunity to play this week?
I do. I mean, I feel good. I feel really good about where we're at. As good as I felt here in a while. So take it for what it's worth.
I mean, what has this whole process been like? I mean, just having game after game, week after week, having to deal with this.
It gets frustrating if you allow it to. Obviously, we want the opportunity to go out there and compete and play. Our players do, our coaches do, I know our fans do, administration, everybody. So, when things get canceled, it's never easy. But again, it goes back to some things you just can't control, and you got to focus in on the things that you can, and the things you can't. You just got to move forward and figure out how you're going to get a week better, and for when that time does come, that you're ready to go out there and play a game.
How do you keep kids engaged during this period? I mean, obviously, week to week, obviously it's one process. How do you keep kids engaged over the course of, 4 or 5 weeks?
That's a good question. We try to keep it fun. Obviously, when you're grinding for the last 4 weeks without a game, it can get very monotonous. Just trying to switch things up as best as possible, making sure that, we're getting our work in, but trying to also keep them fresh, not grind them in the dirt. But at the same time, our kids have been awesome. They really have. They've obviously very disappointed, especially on Thursday nights when they're getting that call, or on Thursdays, but every week they've bounced back great. Again, I think today was as good as energy as I've seen. So, they're overcoming it, and it's just part of it. And they realize that it's not only our team; it's pretty much every conference, every team has dealt with some type of this type of adversity, and so it's just part of the game right now.
Is there something or anything in particular that you guys have done to try to make it more fun or keep it fun?
No, I mean, the biggest thing is just going out there together and just trying to have as much as energy as you can as a coaching staff, keeping it fun with them. Again, going some good work to where there is some really good competition there, to where normally you wouldn't have as much during the season. Some of that's due to just letting them get out there and work a little bit. Some of that's due to the fact that haven't had enough guys to really have scout teams either. So, but again, I mean, you're still having to get your work in. It's not like we haven't been preparing each week for a certain opponent, and we're just having off weeks per se. We've been locked in and focused each week on the opponent we're game planning and facing. Just unfortunately, haven't been able to get out there in a little bit. So I feel good about this week, and again, I think our kids they've been great about it.
Coach, how hard is it to scout and just look at tape from Rice, knowing that they've only played 2 games? They're kind of in the same situation you guys are.
Yeah, it's different. Obviously, having those 2 games help. Just understanding kind of about where they're at. But then you also got tape from last year. They didn't have much turnover, and so feel pretty decent about what they do offensively, defensively, special teams wise. So you're going to have to go back on some of that. But they do a great job within their schemes on each phase. And I think, their MO, they want to play a physical brand of football, and it all starts up front with them. And so they do a great job. They're very multiple in what they do, but which forces your guys to have to be very disciplined in their alignment, their assignment, their technique, and understand what's coming at them. So they do a great job.
Does this time off help you guys get healthier as a team?
Yeah, I mean, it can. Yeah, absolutely. We've been pretty healthy overall. Since middle, it's been more so of the other stuff that you can't control. So, most of our guys that have had some nicks and bruises and surgeries and stuff, a lot of them are already back, so it has helped.
You think you get Oscar back this week?
Yes.
Do you expect Jair Shorter to be back, or is he out for an extended amount of time?
No, he won't be back.
Coach, how healthy is the defense now? You mentioned in the past that defense was out just for a variety of reasons within the first few games. How healthy have they been recently, and how have they come back just to be prepared for these last few games?
We've been really good the last couple of weeks, defensively. We just got to, we're still thin at some positions just due to some early stuff, some guys that got hurt early. But, overall, I think we're healthy. And, I think, getting those guys the last few weeks, or really the last couple of weeks, game planning together, practicing together, still trying to build that continuity. Which they're doing a good job of that, building some of that chemistry, and then being able to go out there and play, pretty much full healthy. It will help.
Are your players just ready to go play a game after such a long time off?
There's no doubt. We all are. I know we all are. Players, coaches, fans, y'all. Yeah, I'm ready to get down on the field. And like I said, for us, whatever we have to do to go play, again, fortunately, we've been pretty good. The testing protocol, I think Rice has been pretty solid. I know Coach Bloomgren and I have, talked quite frequently, and, we both want it. Our teams want it, and we all want to get out there and go compete and play, and I feel pretty good about where we're at.
Rice entered the season with a lot of returners on the defense side of the ball. You kind of mentioned their physicality. Just from a schematic standpoint, what do they do, and what do they do well on defense? Well,
they're multiple on defense. So you're going to see, you're going to see 3-man fronts, 4-man fronts, bear. They mix up their coverage as well. But it starts up front. I think their strength of their defense is their D-line. I think they do a great job using their hands, shedding blocks. They're big physical guys, and I think they whipped us this past year. That's why we didn't have the success, to be honest with you, that we wanted to have. I thought we got beat up front. And so that's something that, we understand. And, again, that's where it starts for them, but they're very sound. They're very well coached. They don't beat themselves. They're where they need to be. And then when they get there, they get their fundamentals of tackling, getting ball carriers to the ground, and just understanding what you're trying to do offensively. They're very sound in what they do.
So they should be similar to what y'all played last year on both sides of the ball, would you say? Yeah,
I think so. Again, defensively, they're big up front. They're physical. That's where it's going to start with their defense. And I don't think they're going to. They do a lot of different things, which you have to prepare for and get your players those looks. But I don't think there'll be much change in the sense of what they're doing schematically. I think they do have a lot of returners, and again, they're very solid offensively. They're going to give you a bunch of unbalanced formations and big formations. They're going to find different ways to run the power, split zone, and then play action, take shots. And when you are committed to a bunch of hash to the box, get your one-on-one matchups, and outside, and they've been successful with that. And then special teams just been solid all around. So again, it's a very good football team. I know. Last year early on, they didn't have the success they want. I know he was still very new within that culture. Coach has done a great job there, and they finished out the season very strong. And they had a lot of matchups last season to where, taking guys to overtime just didn't pull off some of those wins. But they're much improved, and you can tell the things that Coach Bloomgren's doing with that program, their culture, it's really starting to take effect, and they're very solid.
Coach, what do you see from their two leading receivers coming back in Rosner and Trammell? What kind of matchups do you see from those guys with your secondary?
Yeah, they do a great job of pounding the rock and up front and forcing you to continue to add, hatch the run game and get their receivers and your DBs out on the island. And those guys do a great job with their routes. Their technique's very good, and they find ways to get open and take shots. And so. It's a little different brand of football in the sense of, in today's age, you see a lot more spread, than you ever saw in the past, and not as much true, 12, 11, 12, 21 personnel groupings, and so it's almost opposite from where it used to be. It used to be all big sets, heavy sets, big personnel, and you didn't see a lot of spread formations. It's just changed, and so they're doing a good job with doing what they do. I know they're not going to change what they do. They believe in what they do, and they're doing a good job with it. So it can cause some matchup problems on the outside, or it can put your DBs on an island.
Has it made it more frustrating that all of this has kind of happened in a year where obviously you're going through quarterback changes, where you're going through coordinator changes, and where you're just kind of not able to get guys live reps now?
I mean, if I sat and thought about it every day, yeah, I'm sure it would. But you just can't. I mean, it's not worth grinding your energy up daily thinking about, what's going on. You just try to focus in on doing what you can and getting the best you can, and getting the best work you can, and then hopefully being out to go out and compete on Saturdays. That's what it's all about.
You guys have your 4 closest rivals in Conference USA all on the road, 3 Texas schools plus the Louisiana Tech. Is this a big opportunity for your guys' program over the next month?
Yeah, we need a big month. There's no doubt. Didn't start off the way we wanted to, and I know our guys are disappointed in some of the early play, but they've continued to work, grind, have great attitudes, and I think it's a big month for everybody. Anytime you go out, and especially playing in-state schools and a team like Louisiana Tech, those are big matchups for us. They're important to us, and I know they're important to them as well. So, we're excited about this month of football, but it doesn't go anywhere. It all starts with Rice first, and then you focus in on the next week after that.
You have a couple of pretty good NFL prospects, it seems like, in Jalen Darden and Deion Noville. And now, the season's been not what you expected it to be in terms of games that you're playing. Do you think that's affected their chances at all, their opportunities at the next level?
You'd have to ask somebody else that question, Brett. All I know is they're focused in and going out there and competing, both getting better every single day. They really are. They work extremely hard. I think if you would ask them, I think they're extremely focused in right now on doing the things in this season and with their teammates and for this team, and the rest of self will kind of take care of itself as we move forward down the road.
Yeah, because usually you'd see a lot of NFL scouts come through practice, spring practice and other times. Have you seen the same amount of people, scouts and things like that come through your program?
No, I mean, it's shut down in that sense. I mean, usually we have teams daily that come out to practice, and with all the different protocols and their protocols as well. Scouts aren't on the road. So, but again, it's all about what you put on tape, Brett. And I think if you put enough good things on tape, they get the same tapes. They can see it. They can evaluate it. It's just not as much in person. But, again, to me, it's about what you put on tape, and that's where you give yourself the opportunities to get to the next level, whether it's high school or college or pros. That's what it's ultimately going to decide.
Do you still sense there's a lot of interest in both of those guys?
I would think so. Again, I'm not in the NFL. I'm not a coach in the NFL. I'm not a scout in the NFL. But again, they're both great players, and they definitely have a chance.
Coach, how confident are you in the offense? Now that you got all your running backs back in Oscar and Deandre and Trey, how confident are you knowing that you can utilize all 3 of them in the offense now?
Yeah, it's obviously a benefit with those guys, and again, I feel like all of them have made big time plays for us. I feel very good about all of them. They're good change ups to each other. They complement each other very well. And we got to have those guys play at a high level. We've always said, when we starts up front with us and with those backs, and as soon as you can start establishing a run game, I think everything kind of opens up from there and allows you to be pretty explosive in the pass game. But again, we're dealing with a very good, defense in Rice, and I know, they're again, they pride themselves on being very physical, especially up front, and that we need all those guys to have a big game.
I was going to ask you about Deandre Torre. In a year that you've had some guys been in and out of the lineup, he's been so consistent. How important has he been to your guys' success this year?
He's been huge, and just staying healthy, and he's been in every week. He's always been consistent in the sense and practice and the way he works. There's a reason why he's a good player, but he's been awesome. And again, those backs, that group, we've had a pretty deep group. We've had some guys out here and there. I think Trey's getting back really strong and getting really comfortable. And then with Oscar getting back off his hands and Deandre, Nick, those guys, just consistent guys, and we need that room to have a big day.
Has he always been somebody you can depend on?
Yeah, he's been very reliable. I think since he's been here. Again, a very smart kid. Understands not only the run game but the pass game, the protections. We've worked in the slot a little bit too. He knows all the different slot positions and receiver positions as well. He's smart. He understands his offense as good as anybody. And so that's only going to continue to help him out down the road as well, just being versatile.
Has he helped set the tone for some of your younger players like Oscar?
Yeah, the more guys like that with experience, Deandre, up front, Manasseh and Brammer, and then Darden, and guys like that. It's when young guys come in and they see how you work, and the culture's set to where this is what it looks like. It always helps when you have that type of leadership that can, not only show with their actions what they're doing every single day, but also holding those guys accountable to this is what you got to do and this is what you're going to do in order for us all to be successful. All right, gentlemen, we good?
You were calling the plays this year, and you've talked a lot about it. How did you become so proficient at it? What helped you become a great play caller through your career?
I don't know. I would say, just trying to keep it as consistent for our players, I think, on a weekly basis, and then playing to your strengths, understanding what you have, and then trying not to overcoach it. I think in coaching, sometimes we'll try to do too much, or we'll try to overcoach things in the sense of maybe trying to out-scheme ourselves to where our players aren't able to play fast, are out there thinking too much. And I think with me, it's all about consistency, and it's all about reps and seeing things over and over, repping things over and over, and then playing to your strengths, and then also figuring out what your weaknesses are and how you can either offset those somewhere else or how we're going to get better at doing those things. And so that's been the biggest thing with myself, I guess, is just trying to keep it consistent for our guys and playing to our strengths.
Who were your major influences as you learned and grew as a play caller?
Man, I've been blessed. I've been around a lot of great guys, from my first job with Coach Mangino at Kansas as a GA, to, get an opportunity to work with Sonny Dykes and those guys at Arizona, Coach Stoops. Obviously, Mike Leach has been a huge part, not only as a player, but as a coach in his system. And then Kevin Wilson, one of the smartest offensive minds, being his offensive coordinator at Indiana, has been huge. And then you look at a guy like Larry Fedora, just branching out. That was really the first time I've kind of branched out outside of a different system than kind of more of the air raid type systems. Coach Stoops tree, Larry's my first guy that I kind of branched out from that, and just was able to really soak up some of the things he was doing offensively, and but all those guys have had a huge impact, and not only those coaches, but a lot of assistant coaches and defensive coaches, just bouncing ideas off them and understanding what different run fits are and who the different conflict players are within a defense. I've been around a lot of great coaches, and I think as much as anything, you got to give them a ton of credit because, listen, I love coaching ball, and I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the sharpest tool in the shed. But when you're around great guys and you're able to talk ball every single day, you end up kind of figuring out who you are and what you like to do.
You've mentioned that you've enjoyed it. Have you really enjoyed calling plays this year, being back at it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm having as much fun this year, not only with this coaching staff, this group. And I've said it, you're not going to be able to be successful calling plays if you don't have a great staff around you. It just is what it is. I mean, you can't see everything, especially being on the field. And I think Coach Blesh does an unbelievable job in the box, and he deserves as much credit as I do. There's times to where he's getting a play out of his mouth faster than I am. And I'm like, let's do it. You're seeing it right there. And so you have to be able to trust guys. And I think it comes in the week of game plan along with those guys. And then when you're on the same page, calling plays on Saturday is not the most difficult thing. The most difficult things, through the week, the game plan, making sure you get the right game plan in place and making sure your players are able to execute it. And I think that's the most important thing on game day. You've already repped all that. You've already game planned all those situations. And so there's no doubt in my mind any guy on our offensive staff could call a game on Saturday. But, yes, it's a blast. I'm having a blast with this group, these coaches, these players. And it's been challenging the season we're in, per se, but that hadn't had all affected how much fun we're having together. That's for sure.
How have you been able to adjust with what you're doing play calling wise when you're playing two different quarterbacks? Is that something you've had to just?
No, it's not, because they have a lot of the same strengths. You just don't see them. It's people look out and say, Ani has a cannon of an arm. Beans may not be as strong, but Bean can whip the football. He can spin it. And you're going to look out there and you're going to say, well, Ani's not as fast as Bean. But Ani can get out and run too. And so it's not like you're calling two different, it's not like you have, Marquise Williams and Nick Foles. It's not that two guys that are that opposites. And so our game plan doesn't change. They may have better, they may be more comfortable with different concepts than others. They may be better in some of the different reads or the runs, but you just play to their strengths when they're in the game. But the game plan doesn't change per se.